What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao with the news here on TaiwanPlus. More footage has emerged from China of soldiers using mock-ups of Taiwanese cities as a backdrop for military exercises. It's raising questions about just how ready Taiwan is for urban warfare. Jaime Ocon explains.
Chinese soldiers training for war. While exercises like these are a daily part of China's military training, this specific drill caught the eyes of many in Taiwan. Footage from China's military shows an exercise using mock-ups of real streets and buildings in Taiwan. This one simulated an attack on a district next to the country's biggest airport. Mock-ups of Taiwan's presidential office have even been spotted being overrun by Chinese forces.
中共近年来的确是系统性的在增加这种实景跟实战化训练它的各式军种跟兵种，这都值得我们注意。同时采取更有系统性的反制方式。
China sees Taiwan as part of its territory and has long threatened to bring the country under its control with military force. But using mock-ups is not a new tactic. China has been using these fake targets to get their soldiers familiar with the battlefield for years. And it's not just Taiwan mock-ups. Satellite images in 2021 also showed China practicing how to target U.S. warships in the Gobi Desert. It's all part of Beijing's plan to provide as realistic combat training as possible to its forces.
When you see the thing for the first time that you're not familiar with, your responses is not going to be the same as, as basically what you think you would respond. And a lot of militaries, not just the Chinese, went to extraordinary length to combat this.
While for decades Taiwan has focused on coastal defense, analysts say little attention has been paid to other areas like urban warfare. They say that while the main focus for Taiwan's military has been keeping China from landing on its territory, there isn't much planning for what would happen if Chinese soldiers do make it onto the streets.
It is definitely a warning sign that Taiwan would have to increase its training and how it aims to actually counter urban warfare. I don't think Taiwan, as a country, has actually thought about urban warfare seriously. Right? There's a lot that can be done to make basically the urban environment into a hellhole for the enemy. And frankly, that's not something that we've seen a lot of discussion.
Using Taiwan-style mock-ups in China's military training serves a big operational purpose, but it's also meant to instill fear in Taiwan's population. While China is open about what it's targeting, it could give Taiwan an insight into what a conflict might look like. But Taiwan's toughest task is assuring its defense strategy prevents these images from becoming reality. John Su and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
More than 20% of Taiwanese parents have used corporal punishment on their children in the past month. A new survey published by the Taiwan Fund for Children and Families shows that over 80% of those who hit their children see it as an acceptable form of discipline. That's despite many respondents saying that they worry that corporal punishment could harm children and damage the parent-child relationship. The bodies of nearly 600 ducks have been discovered in a drainage ditch in Changhua. Authorities were notified of the discovery earlier this week, and they've sent samples off for testing. Experts say a bird flu outbreak could be to blame. The disease is common when migratory birds fly north together for the summer. The site where the bodies were discovered has been disinfected twice, and officials are monitoring nearby poultry farms.
从外面进来的候鸟带进来的病毒呢，像目前已经有检测出有10个型，希望说做好一些防鸟的围网是很重要的，就是外来动物不要进入到我们的养禽场里面。
Local environmental groups are celebrating as a years-long legal battle against a planned gas terminal could now be turning in their favor. Sally Jensen has the story.
This is one of Taiwan's oldest and most abundant reefs. Spanning almost 30 kilometers of the country's northern coastline, for the last few years it's been neighbors with a controversial energy project that is threatening its survival. But now environmentalists are seeing a win as the country's highest court reopens an old case to protect the reef.
我个人是真的是非常的感慨哈。那今天呢，最高行政法院呢，还我们公道，还了全国关心环境朋友的公道。
Their efforts to save the reef from this liquid natural gas development were defeated in a popular referendum in 2021, when people voted against relocating the project. They also brought their case to court, which decided to allow the project to continue. But now the Supreme Administrative Court says that decision needs to be reviewed. And the terminal's developer, the state-owned CPC, needs to prove that the project isn't harming the reef if it wants to see it completed.
最高行政法院认为，那如何去证明它是有效的避免或减轻措施？所以我们在这边呼吁中油要立即停工。
But the CPC says it's making sure the project's environmental impact is minimal, and they'll continue with the terminal's construction.
中油公司皆遵照相关法规办理许可申请，并获同意。 3阶的工程我们持续进行中，并没有停工。
As construction continues, the case against this gas project is being reviewed further. A glimmer of hope for environmentalists in a small country where the need for energy seems to constantly compete with protecting biodiversity. Patrick Chen and Sally Jensen for TaiwanPlus.
6 people missing after a major bridge collapse in the U.S. city of Baltimore are now presumed dead. The missing people are construction workers who were fixing potholes on the Francis Scott Key Bridge. It collapsed when a Singaporean-flagged ship ran into a bridge support structure early on Tuesday morning. The local fire department says 2 people were rescued, 1 unharmed and 1 critically injured. The ship had lost power and made a mayday call prior to the incident, which authorities say allowed them to stop more vehicles from getting on the bridge. A suicide bombing in northwest Pakistan has killed 5 Chinese engineers and their local driver. The attacker drove his vehicle into a bus carrying the Chinese engineers on their way to a dam construction site. It's the 3rd major attack on Chinese interests in Pakistan in a week. Officials believe it's part of an effort to sabotage the country's economic progress and to sow discord with China. Beijing has been investing in several major infrastructure projects in Pakistan as part of its Belt and Road Initiative. Peru is seeking to reverse a policy that would give a Chinese company exclusive rights over a new megaport being built in the country. The Changhua deepwater port is being built by China's COSCO Shipping as part of Beijing's Belt and Road. Costing $3.5 billion, it will be one of the largest ports in South America. Peru's Port Authority now says that granting exclusive rights back in 2021 was the result of an administrative error. COSCO objects to the move, saying its exclusive rights to the port were a relevant factor in its decision to build the facility. The first section of that port is scheduled to open during a visit by Chinese leader Xi Jinping in November. China is working to revive foreign investment as the world's 2nd largest economy continues to struggle. Even Chinese President Xi has personally stepped in, meeting with American executives, including from Qualcomm, FedEx, and Blackstone. Now, to discuss whether there's any chance of a fresh wave of foreign investment into China, Joyce Sun spoke to Asia-Pacific economist Alicia Garcia Herrero.
China says that it is opening up and wanting to attract more foreign investment. What have they done or are doing to give companies that confidence to do business in China?
Let me start by the very good news. China has just announced a couple of days ago the final regulations on cross-border data, transfer of cross-border data for foreign companies. That's very important. But in terms of opening up of sectors that are still very close to foreign investment, there's still a lot of oligopolies, mostly state-owned enterprises. All of that is just too close for foreign investors to participate. Will they open? I doubt. On that note, I think we might not be so hopeful. But I do think they worry, and I do think they will do more than they would have done before. You may say China doesn't need foreign direct investment. That's true in terms of financing. They have enough savings to finance their investment. But foreign direct investment is more than that. It's about new ideas. It's about tech transfer. It's about transfer of management skills as well. It's about modernization. Every country needs, in a way, because that keeps you in the global economy. So I think that's what worries China.
And how has the business community reacted to these moves like the new cross-border data transfer?
It's still too hard to tell whether companies will react very positively. I think there's other things happening that may worry companies. For example, localization requirements are extremely important now. So you cannot have suppliers from your home country. And this forces tech transfer maybe beyond what companies want to do. But at the same time, companies feel that China is very eager, maybe I would say too eager, to lock them in terms of the actual investment. And that worries some companies, you see, because they are not sure about market developments.
As you mentioned, some companies may still be wary about doing business in China, but some others, like Apple, for example, seems to be doubling down on their operations there. What kind of company do you think will be more likely to trust these business opportunities now?
Now everybody's aware that Apple somehow is locked in China. China has actually helped make this well known, that they're too dependent on China. So, this is the kind of thing where you lock companies in and they keep coming until they feel that the dependence hurts them. So Apple's dependence on China is starting to hurt Apple. And the question is, will that boomerang? I mean, that's the question for China. Will your insistence in showing dependence of companies on you boomerang one day? It's a leverage that China has that can only be used up to a certain point. After that, companies may react as Apple is doing, starting to diversify away, just not to look so dependent. I would call it the limit to China's leverage in terms of attracting FDI. They need to be careful with overusing their huge leverage.
That was Joyce Sun speaking with Licia Garcia Herrero, the chief Asia-Pacific economist at Natixis. A cobbler shop in Taipei is defying the rise of throwaway culture by keeping the art of shoe repair alive. The shop's second-generation owner has plenty of business, and he's not hanging up his tools anytime soon. John Van Trieste has his story.
65-year-old Gao Qingyuan has been stitching and hammering away in this Taipei cobbler shop since he was a teenager, repairing the city's worn soles and broken heels. The workshop and the vintage equipment inside is his inheritance from his father, who started the business.
因为看爸爸做，然后我小时候玩具中的工具呀。
His siblings went into other trades, but after an apprenticeship that lasted through his student years, Gao continued to work in the shop, wanting to help his aging father. It's been a physically taxing career, taking a toll on his eyesight and, as his wife says, his hands.
你修鞋有刀子很多啊，剪刀什么很多啊，也是常常会有职业伤害啊，可能一刀子不小心划下去就缝了10针了。
Despite the cuts and scars, Gao has made a successful living. And though he's now around the same age as his father was when he retired, Gao says he's not going anywhere. There is still plenty of business, and he has a loyal customer base, many of whose shoe sizes he knows by heart.
我先生刚开始是来修皮鞋，但是之后他连布鞋、一些比较休闲的鞋子也会拿过来修理。
But it's the custom jobs that he remembers most for people who can't get shoes anywhere else.
我最感动就一个新加坡人，就受伤嘛，所以脚变成萎缩了，然后他在新加坡那里做了鞋，没有人愿意跟他修，特别来到台湾我帮他修。
The shop hasn't changed in years, and there's a comfort in that for his customers, especially those who live abroad. It's a slice of old Taipei they can come back and recognize. And it's proof that even in a modern, consumerist society, there's plenty of demand for quality workmanship and mending. Kama Xu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
This isn't your average fugitive. South Korean police have captured an ostrich after it escaped from a zoo. Eyewitnesses spotted the giant bird trotting along with traffic in the town of Seongnam. The 4-year-old male ostrich, named Tadori, spent around an hour on the road before it was finally cornered in a parking lot. The zoo says Tadori may have been in distress after his only friend, an ostrich named Tasuni, passed away about a month ago. Tadori has returned home and is in stable condition. Thanks for joining us here on What's Up Taiwan. I'm Eric Gao. Take care, and we'll see you later.